Great. Thank you for hosting me and everyone who joined. I'm really excited about today. so, just a little bit about me. I founded Clearwave Audio. It's my freelance business where I specialize in audio editing, audio cleanup, voice enhancements, specifically geared towards podcasting. So, today's session is obviously on how to start your own podcast. I'm assuming those of you who are here have either thought about starting a podcast or have an idea and you're not sure where to go with it, or are maybe worried about the technical side, um, anything like that. I'm here to help. So hopefully today we are going to learn how to plan and structure your podcast, the equipment and setup that you need, and then obviously the recording, editing, and publishing side of it. I will warn you in advance, the planning and the structuring part of it is quite lengthy, but once it's done, and you can just rinse and repeat everything. So let's begin. I would like to start with some myths and some truths. I know a lot of people don't want to start a podcast because they think it's expensive, but you don't need fancy equipment to start. You can use a simple USB microphone that you plug into your laptop, record on software. You can even record online, and then send it out for editing or do it yourself. You also don't need a fancy studio. You can do it in your bedroom or in your office, as long as you know certain techniques to maybe soften the environment that you're in. And then you don't have to be a professional to do it. Most podcasters are just ordinary people who want to share their information, whether that's about your personal experiences or if it's about your business that you want to share to people. So yeah, let's get into it. The first step is choosing your podcast idea. This is the foundation of your podcast. It's why you want to start a podcast. A good question is to ask yourself why you want to do it. Is it to educate? Is it to inspire, entertain people? Is it to promote your business? Whatever the reason is will help you determine the audience and the topics that you want to cover. For your audience, you want to try and specifically aim it to either one person or a group of people. You won't connect everybody with your information, and that's okay because you are trying to either educate that one group or try and promote your business to your already existing audience. A good way to decide on different topics or different audiences is to say, my podcast helps this group of people with, or by giving them this. A good example would be my podcast helps small business owners by promoting or giving them simple marketing strategies. And then that will help you decide on what topics to cover. So if you're going to go with the marketing strategies, you will, for each episode, give a different marketing strategy and how it implements to small businesses. It's pretty simple, but once you've got it, it's done. It's sorted. And then I like to suggest that people have about 10 ideas or 10 topics that they want to cover. That way, you know it will be viable as a podcast idea. If you don't always have to have 10, if you start with 3, that's fine too. I find that if you have at least some idea of where you want to go, you tend to get more ideas as you go. You know, you build on it, stuff comes up while you're talking, and then you get more and more as you go along. But when planning your episodes, you want to choose a format for your podcast. These are the 4 main choices that you have. Solo episodes is one person telling the listeners or teaching the listeners about a specific set of skills or about the specific industry that you're in. It's very formal and it's very informative. it depends on you and what you want to give people. Then you have your interview styles. That can be one or two hosts, and then you'll get a guest or an expert in that will share their expertise and experiences. This one it can be formal or informal. It is also very informative, so that will also influence what topics you cover. Then the conversational and chat show side of things, this can be two or more hosts, depending on how many people you want to get involved. This type of podcast is very informal and very discussional. There's not a lot of strict rules to it. And then lastly is the storytelling side of it. Again, it's usually very informal. This is where the one or four hosts will share personal stories and experiences. This one can be very reflective, depending on, how you want to break it down. So within that format, you will have a specific structure. This is when you're trying to build scripts for your different topics. You'll have your intro, your main discussion, the key takeaways, and then an outro. For the intro, that is where you're going to introduce yourself, your business, the topic you're going to use. If you have an interviewer coming in or a guest, an expert or whatever, they can either introduce themselves or you can introduce them. It's up to you, depending on how formal you want to be or informal you want to be. Then the main discussion is going to be obviously where you discuss the topic. If it's just you, you're going to give all the facts or the information or your story, whatever it is you want to share. If you have your interviewee, then you will obviously have the questions and the answers here. That can obviously determine how long your episodes are going to be, depending on how much you want to discuss. Key takeaways are more for the longer episodes. It's just to remind people of what you've discussed so that they don't miss anything or forget anything. It's just to round it out and give it a nice conclusion. And then the outro is just to thank everybody who's listened. And it'll have your call to action is where they can find you, how they can get in touch. If you have an Instagram, if you have a website they can visit for more information, that kind of thing. Some people like to put in music here for the intro and the outro. It just gives it a nice flow, builds a nice structure, gives your podcast a bit of a personality. You can find music on sites like Epidemic Sound, Bensound, Audio Jungle. You need to look for royalty-free music. It's usually a one-off payment just to get the rights to it, and then you can use it as often as you'd like, as long as your podcast runs. Then
Brittany, sorry, can I ask a question?
Sure.
If you use music that's not royalty free, there is a danger that it will be blocked, on your publishing sites now.
Yes, yeah. If you are using music without having the rights to it, you can get legal issues. People can sue you for the rights to their music. And if it does come out that your podcast is using music illegally, they will take it down. They can take it down. And a lot of the times, if you don't have specific rights, you can't monetize your podcast either. So you won't get any advertising on it and stuff like that.
Thank you.
You don't have to use music. A lot of podcasts don't. Some people like to do their own little jingle that they have in their head, maybe just to start it off. But most podcasts do like to use it to create that nice flow. But it's up to you and your budget. You don't have to use music.
But AI generated music is fine.
I'm not 100% sure on that, actually. I think it will be. You'd have to check with like what program you use.
Okay.
But yeah.
Thank you.
That's it's a bit of the research that needs to go into your podcast, I guess, and what you want to use. Okay, so the next thing that you have to decide is the episode length. If you are going with the more solo, formal type of podcast, it is going to be shorter because it's just you giving the information and then moving on. But if you're doing the more personal documentary or interview style, it will tend to be longer. I like to recommend that it's between 20 to 60 minutes, only because anything less than 10, you're not getting enough information. And anything more than 60, people will stop listening. They get bored after a while and stop listening to the information you want to give. But it's entirely up to you and your information that you want to share. I think most podcasts are around 45 minutes. That's the average. And that's the planning section. Once all of that is done, it is done. You don't have to think about it too much. You don't have to keep repeating it. Like I said, topics will come as you keep going. You'll think of more things to say or more things to share. Especially if you have the interview style, you'll find more experts in the field or more people that want to join and discuss their experiences or give their stories within that same field. So it's pretty easy. Once it's done, it's done.
Brittany, the next thing you need to... question. Sorry, we had a question here. I forgot now who asked it. And they asked if can you mix up the formats? You know, so maybe one podcast in this style, or should you stick to one format?
It's recommended to stick to one format only because your audience does tend to like consistency. They know what to expect. But if you throw in an interview style, an interview within your chat show style, it's completely fine. Sometimes if you have the more personal story journal type ones, for example, there's a few podcasts that do birthing stories or like new mom stories. They will often get experts or guests to discuss their stories. They bring in experts from that field. So you can mix it up, but it is recommended that you stick within one format, if that makes sense.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, so microphones and equipment and stuff. A basic setup, all you need is the right microphone, headphones, and then recording software. When choosing your microphone, you have a couple options or things you need to look at. You want to decide between a USB microphone or an XLR microphone. They come with their own pros and cons. And a USB microphone is a lot easier to use. You set it up, you plug it into your laptop, and that's it. Whereas an XLR microphone often comes with, you need to get a stand, you need to get cables, you need to get a recording interface. So it is more costly, but it is more professional. So it depends on your budget and how you want to use it. And also with the recording software, there is a bit of a learning curve. So it depends on you and what you want. But within the microphone choices, so whether it's USB or XLR, you can choose between a dynamic microphone or a condenser microphone. That, without getting too technical, it just means on what it's going to pick up. So a dynamic microphone focuses mainly on the voice in front of the microphone. It removes a lot of the background noise. So if you're in a noisy environment, this one is recommended. Whereas a condenser microphone picks up more detail. It's a crisper voice, but it does pick up a lot more of the background noise. So depending on where you're recording will depend on which one you want to use and how you want to use it. I am currently using a USB microphone. I think it's a fine brand that I got off of Takealot. It's pretty cheap and really easy to use. It comes with its own stand, so I don't need to fuss with it. I don't need to move it around. I don't need to adjust it. It just sits there and it connects to my laptop, and it makes everything very easy and convenient. When you are recording,
just show us what it looks like?
Sure. I apologize if this makes a noise, but that is the little microphone. If you can see it, it's got its own little stand, the cable that connects, and in the front it has a volume button or knob that you can adjust for loudness, how loud you need it. But the louder you go, the more noise it's going to pick up, and often it adds a grainy texture to it. It's called white noise. So you don't want to go too loud with it either. Keep it in the middle. So yeah, that's mine. I got it, like I said, off of Takealot. So I think there's quite a few different options there that you can go through. And then when you're recording, you want a set of headphones. This helps, especially if you're doing more than one speaker. If you're going to do it on like a online, you know, if you're doing it through Zoom or through a software called Riverside, then you need to have headphones so that you don't get feedback on the microphone. The microphone won't pick up your other speaker. It makes the editing a lot easier. You can also monitor with your headphones. You can, if you do it right, you can get, you can hear your own voice sometimes, and then you can monitor the noise in the background and stuff like that, which again makes editing easier in the end.
There is a question, is your microphone a condenser or the other one?
This one is a condenser microphone. Sorry, I should have said that. Yes, this one is a condenser microphone. So I don't know if you can hear him in the background, but my dog is making a noise. So, you know, depending on how loud or soft it is, it will pick that up.
Okay, we can't hear the dog.
Okay, good.
And then someone was asking, what is the brand of that microphone again?
This one is a Fifine K669B series in black. I can actually show you the cover if you would like.
Yes, please. I think everybody's now, you should have had royalty for this.
I should get paid for this, yes.
Can you put it a little bit closer to the camera?
Sure. So there you go. Yeah, it says condenser microphone on it, and I do believe this one comes in multiple colors as well. I just got the plain black one. But yeah, so this one, it's for podcasting, streaming and video content. So it works very well for recordings. Let me just balance that again. There we go. Okay, then recording software. You can, depending on how you want to record it, you can record it onto specific recording software. There are free versions like Audacity, GarageBand, I think is specific for Mac. Reaper, there's one called Reaper. They are pretty user-friendly, and they do have editing functions as well, so that it makes it very streamlined and easy to use. If you're going to do the more interview style and you want to do that remotely, you can use one called Riverside. It's an online website that you can use, or you can use ones like Zoom, Google Meets, anything like that, as long as you have your microphone plugged in, and you can just use your regular camera if you decide to have a video and audio podcast. If you're going to distribute onto the more audio platforms, you don't need video, but if you want to do like YouTube and stuff like that, I would suggest using video, but then you have to edit the video as well as the audio. So there's a lot of choices and options and different avenues you can go down. If you want a more professional editing or recording / editing suite, you can use paid versions like Adobe Audition or Pro Tools. They are a lot harder to use, but they have really nice editing features. And obviously they're paid, so you need to decide on your budget and how much you're willing to spend. But like I said in the presentation, I find that the room matters more than the equipment. Yes, you want good quality audio and good quality microphones and stuff, but if your room is noisy, the quality of your mic isn't going to matter because you're not going to be able to hear it anyway. So there are some ways that you can fix this. When you decide where you decide to record is a very big part of that. You want to avoid empty rooms or open spaces, especially with a lot of hard and flat surfaces, because this will cause a lot of echo and reverb, and it'll make your audio sound very hollow, and it's not nice. You would rather choose bedrooms or offices, places with lots of soft furnishings, just to absorb some of those extra sounds. You can, if you only have like an office with tiled floors and cupboards and stuff, you can soften them by using bedding or curtaining or carpeting, just to soften those harsh edges, and it'll make the room sound quieter as well. And then you obviously want to remove a lot of the noises like fans, pets. I say traffic and noisy neighbors, but sometimes you can't you can't really help that. So for those, you want to maybe try and record at a quieter time of the day. You can't always control the birds outside, but you can control the windows being closed and maybe do it later in the evening when it's quieter. So those are just some things to think about when you're recording. And then once all of that is actually done and sorted, you can start recording. I know it seems like a lot of steps to get to the actual recording, but it's just the setup and the planning. And once it's done, it's done. You don't have to redo it, and you don't have to think about it. I have some little bits of advice. You want to keep, like I have mine, the microphone is just slightly off axis, about maybe 2 fistfuls from where I am sitting. This allows you to not have too many harsh syllables, like plosives. Every time you say the P or a B, it causes a pop in the mic. You can, if you need the mic in front of you, get a pop filter. It's just like a screen that goes over your microphone to soften the harsh sounds. But if you keep it off to the side, every time you breathe, it's not going to pick it up, which really, really helps in editing. And test, if you're not too sure about the setup, you can test your audio. Do a quick little run through, say a few lines in your normal speaking tone, and then you can play it back and say, oh, it needs to be louder, it needs to be softer, it needs to be closer. The closer you are to your microphone, the deeper it will be, the more audio it will pick up. And then the further away from your microphone, the hollower or the less detail you'll get. So just find somewhere that's comfortable for you and that works for you. I mean, I speak a lot with my hands, so it needs to be at a little bit extra distance so that I don't whack it too often, because that's going to cause noise and disruptions and stuff like that while recording. And when you're recording, I haven't actually put this in the presentation, but when you are recording, don't be afraid to start again. A lot of people are worried about using like, those filler words. You can take them out. You can take a break and you can start again. Especially if you're stammering a lot or if you can't get the sentence out, just take a deep breath, start again. You can edit out those pieces that you don't like. And if there is a long pause, again, you can just edit it out. So don't be worried or too overwhelmed by the experience, and try not to focus on being perfect. Just get your information out there. I know a lot of people don't want to do podcasting because they are worried about being perfect, and there is no such thing in podcasting. Most of it is editing. So yeah, speaking of editing, if you decide, you can decide to do it yourself or get somebody like me to do it for you. It depends on your budget and how much time you have, because doing it yourself, there is that learning curve of using the editing software. I think I've mentioned this already. Riverside does have an editing section within the website. And I do believe they use AI to create your videos and take out the long pauses and stuff like that. And you can set it to a specific amount of time as well. So that makes it a bit easier. But if you decide to do it yourself and you're using, say, Audition, or if you're getting the paid version of Adobe, you will want to try and use the different filters and different techniques and stuff like that. So I'm going to give you a couple basic editing techniques that you can use that will hopefully save you some time. But what I like to do is to do 2 run-throughs of the edit. The first run-through will be to edit out your mistakes, those restarts and the long pauses, anything that you don't want in your final podcast, your final episode, you can take out on your first edit. Just listen to it and say, okay, that is repeated information, or that's information that I can't actually share. You know, if somebody who comes in is a friend and they're talking about somebody else, and you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't say that because that person might get offended, or, you know, if they don't want their information shared, let's just take that out. That's what you want to do on the first run through. Then the second run through is focused more on noise. So you've done your content, now you're just going to take out noise. You know, if you forgot to turn off the AC unit in your office and you've got that low rumbling hum in the background, you're going to want to take that out so that it sounds clearer and more professional. And then you can do that with an EQ filter. It's probably the most basic filter you can get on the editing sites. EQ is it's a tool that uses frequencies. It modulates the frequencies. So you can put specifically taking out low-end frequencies like those hums or the rumbles from an AC unit, or you can take out higher frequencies for a voice. You know, if it's too harsh and it's very high-pitched, you can just lower it a bit, and it makes it a bit easier to listen to. EQ can also adjust and lift certain frequencies if you want to make the voice sound brighter or whatever. You can lift the frequencies, but that does get more technical and we don't want to go too far into it. And then obviously balancing your volume. You can do this manually if you have the time, but most people who are starting out will use a compression filter. This is just to make the sound more even. It lowers the really high noises. So if somebody laughs, or if there's a big, you know, a door slamming or something, it will lower that to a certain volume. And then if there's something really soft, it will lift it, it will boost it to make them all within the same range. It's called dynamic range, without getting too into it because I don't want to overwhelm people. I can also talk a lot about editing. It's my specialty. You want to keep your volume at about 16 to 8, negative 16 to negative 18 lufs, which is just like a technical term for loudness. Most platforms will use that standard. I think Spotify is negative 16. So when you're using the filter, you'll see the volume monitor on the side. It's sometimes at the bottom, depending on which program you're using, but they'll have little numbers underneath it from like 0 to negative 30 or 40. And you want to keep it within the range of about 16 to 18 for voice, and then about 23 to 30 for music. Music will be softer so that it doesn't overwhelm or overpower your voice if you decide to use music. And then once that is all sorted, you are ready to publish. This part can be, there's a lot of decision that goes into it. You need to decide where you want to publish. There's a lot of platforms like Spotify or Apple Podcast. There's Google Podcast or Amazon Music. You can distribute it to those specific platforms, or you can use one like Buzzsprout and Podbean. They, I do believe, are paid prescriptions that distribute your episode to all of the different platforms. It's quite handy to have because it will also help you monitor the interaction. It helps you see who's listened to it, how many people have listened to it, how many times they've listened to it, if they've downloaded it, if they have commented on it, that kind of thing. You can also use it to link your social media. I think Podbean does that. You can add your social media and then it links it for you. These sites also allow for monetization. So if you decide to get paid advertising to bring in revenue, they will help you manage and do that so that you don't have to. The Spotify for Creators is a free platform, but it only distributes onto Spotify. So if you're just starting out and you want to see how it goes, I recommend using Spotify for Creators because they also have the stream count and the download count and the stuff like that. So very simple to use. They're all actually really simple to use. You'll create an account or a profile, and you'll give it a name, your podcast name, put in a description, what you cover, who you are, anything like that. And then I think often they put a picture in there, either your logo or like a picture of your setup, who you are, whatever you want to do, you can put that in there. And then you upload each episode. For uploads, I do recommend keeping it consistent. So if you want to do one a week, one every second week, one a month, you keep it consistent. And you want to try and keep it on the same day at the same time. That way people can put on like a notification and then they'll keep coming back to listen to your podcast. The most common day for podcasts, I believe, is a Monday or a Tuesday. It's the start of the week. People have, they're going to work. They don't want to listen to the noise of the office or whatever. If you have like inspirational type podcasts, you want to try maybe do it on a Monday so that people are ready for the week. If it's more educational, maybe during the week. Or if it's more personal preference, then you can aim for more like a Friday or a Saturday. It's very dependent on your audience and when you think they will listen to the information that you want to give. Most podcasts as well are aimed towards being released in the morning so that you have the whole day to listen to it. But again, that is entirely up to you and your audience. If you think that yours is more of a nighttime thing because you want to help people sleep, for instance, then you will want to publish at night. But yeah, that is entirely up to you. And once you've uploaded, it's going to be there forever, especially if you have the paid version. People can listen to it anytime, anywhere. And yeah, that is pretty much everything. If there are any questions that anyone has specific to planning or the equipment, anything I haven't covered that you maybe want to ask?
So how do you make money from podcasts?
That will be the monetization. So that's paid advertising. You can either get, if you're going into the Podbean Buzzsprout side of it, you can get, I think actually Spotify for Creators does monetization as well. But it's paid advertising. People will pay you to put their advert into your podcast. Most monetization comes once you have an established audience, because people say your podcast is about teaching teachers, it's about teachers sharing their stories or whatever. Once you have an audience of either the teachers that you're sharing information for or parents or students, then different businesses that have, that are directed towards teachers will want to put their adverts for their website or for their company or for their community. They will want to put an ad into your podcast just so that they can get more reach from your audience, if that makes sense.
So will the advertisers, yes, will you be contacted, or do you need to go and find advertisers?
I think you need to go and find advertisers. Okay. So there's a monetization part in most of the setups. I think you sign up for it, if I remember correctly. It's like an advertising thing to say, okay, if you want to put your advert in my podcast, this is what it's about, this is the reach we have, this is the topics we cover, that kind of thing. And then if I remember correctly, I can always look it up for you, but if I remember correctly, people will reach out to you. I think some of the sites might actually do it automatically. If you've signed up and there is an advert that is similar to your podcast or your topic that you're covering, it will automatically put it in for you. Okay. I think when you do the automatic one, you have to give it a specific time slot within your podcast so that it doesn't just cut off mid-sentence. Okay. So if your introduction is always, say, 6 minutes long, then you can say after 6 minutes, put in the adverts for, I think most adverts are usually about 2 minutes long at most. Okay. And then the rest of your content will carry on after that.
Thank you. We have a question from Raksha. Raksha, you can go off mute and ask your question.
Thanks, Almarie. Sure, Brittany, this was phenomenal. Just listening for so many years, having an assumption around how it gets made in the background. My question for you is publishing, and feel free to speak to me like I'm a 5-year-old, because this topic is so new. When you say Spotify for creators, it's the free version. I recommend that you start there. Then you said Buzzsprout and Podbean. So the question is, if not using these paid platforms for publishing, and is there a manual? So there's like, I listen on Apple Podcasts. I don't know where Samsung people listen to podcasts. Is there an inbuilt Android podcast platform? Some go to YouTube. So talk to us a little bit more around publishing, if not using, because my assumption then is that like a paid Buzzsprout or Podbean, once it's uploaded, you can specify which podcast platforms, if that's the right way to even say it, it get posted to. Maybe share with us, if we manually doing it on our own, what does that look like?
So Buzzsprout and Podbean will do all of the platforms. I don't know if you can specify on which ones you want to use. It'll just do all of them. But you can specifically go onto each platform and just publish or distribute on that one platform. So if you're more specific in using Spotify, you go to Spotify creators and you create your own, profile, and you upload each episode individually as it's made. You can also schedule it. So if you've got all 10, 20 episodes recorded, you upload them all, and then you say, okay, post this one on this date at this time, post this one on this date at this time. So it is a very manual type of production. I do believe you can create your own one on Apple Podcasts or on Google Podcasts or them specifically. You create, same as Spotify for creators. It's you create your profile and you upload it as is. I don't know if those ones are free though. I don't really use Apple Podcasts very often. When I'm doing podcasts for people, I recommend doing the Buzzsprout Podbean, even though it is paid. I recommend doing that because it reaches more people. You know, some people will be specific to Spotify and some people will be specific to Apple Podcasts. And if you're only sharing on one, you won't get the same reach as if you had multiple platforms. But it is totally up to you and your budget. You know, if you don't want to spend lots, I think Buzzsprout and Podbean are in dollars. Podbean can range from a basic subscription at about like, I think it was $12. So yeah, it depends on how much you want to spend, but I think it can go up to the professional. I'm actually not entirely sure how much the professional one is. I think it's maybe like $50 or something. So they do have different options on how much space you need. So if you've got 20 to 30 episodes, you're going to need more space on the platform that you want to use. Spotify for creators is, I think, unlimited, if I remember correctly. It's like 1 a week, 2 hours, 2-hour episodes or something to that effect. I'm not sure about like Apple Podcasts. I don't know their specific range, but for most platforms, I do believe they have a 2-hour limit each week if you're using the free version, which isn't too bad, especially considering most podcasts are less than an hour. So if you want to do 2 a week, you can do 2 a week, or 1 a week. It's completely up to you. I hope that helped. I hope that explained everything.
That does. Thanks, Brittany.
Okay. Thanks, Brittany. There's also a question. Is there an option on YouTube to do podcasts?
Yes, a lot of people use YouTube for podcasts, especially if you're going to do a video as well as the audio. I think YouTube is free to use, as you just create a profile and upload onto YouTube the videos. I don't know if there's limitations to it. I don't really use the video too much. I have edited video for podcasts before, but most people like to use the audio only just because it has a wider range, especially if you're distributing on like Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts and Spotify. Those are more focused towards audio, but you're welcome to use YouTube as well. Some people that I've worked with who have just started out like to use Spotify and YouTube because they're both free. And then you've got the audio only reach with Spotify and then the video reach with YouTube. So you can do it that way if you want.
Yeah, I've seen the YouTube ones where they just have like a static screen, maybe like a, yeah.
You can also do that, yeah. You have your logo or something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then there was a question from Darren asking, how big does your audience need to be before you can start monetizing? Do you know?
I don't know that. I'm sorry. I mean, if I was to guess, I'd say maybe 200 listeners monthly. It's probably not very big at all. But then you won't get as much money from it. So I think you can start monetizing quite soon. But the more listeners you have, the more money you will make, if that makes sense.
Okay.
I think it's the same with YouTube. If you get YouTube ads, the more listeners or the more subscribers you have to your podcast or to your video platform, YouTube, the more money you make from the advertising. Well, I specialize in the editing side of things. So if you don't want to edit it yourself, that's what I do. I can help you. I'll take your raw recording and I will make it nice. I can find you music. I can create the intros. I can create, the structure for you. If you're not too sure what you want to do, I can help you with that. Any of these steps, if you want to reach out to me, you have questions or you're not too sure if it works for your idea, you can send me a message and I'm happy to help you just to figure out where you want to go and how you want to do it. But yes, if you don't want to edit it yourself, that's what I do. I love doing it. I am pretty quick at it as well. I sit and listen to it and
get it over and done
with. Everything. Yeah, get it over and done with, and then you don't have to worry about it. If you have specific things that you want to fix, like noise in the background, or you don't think the voice is clear enough, you can just tell me and I will fix those for you. You can also do different things. I mean, if you want me to do the entire podcast, taking out all the distractions, all the restarts, all the filler words, all the long pauses, if you want that, and you want me to clean noise, and you want me to add music, and you want me to do the structure, I can do that. Or if you are good with the structure and you've created that and you've edited out all the bits and pieces that you don't want in, but you're not sure how to do noise reduction or voice enhancements, I can just focus on that. It's up to you and how much work you want to put into it and how much you don't want to put into it.
Fantastic. We've got a question here from Bopelo. She's saying, I previously did Zoom interviews and I have thought about putting them into a podcast format. From listening to you, it might be a lot of work. What do you think?
You can absolutely do that. To put the interviews into a podcast format, I would recommend recording an intro, just explaining your podcast, who you are, and the interview that you're going to share, and then recording an outro. Once you have those recorded, you can just reuse them. You don't have to re-record them each time. My recommendation would be to have that recording, then put your interview in, and then have the outro. And then you can just swap out the interview, edit the interview, swap it out, edit that interview, swap it out, edit that interview. And it sounds like a lot of work, but it's pretty simple once you have it done, because then you're just rinsing and repeating on the different episodes.
Okay, wonderful. And then Dr. Tu, I think you just get in touch with Brittany and you can speak to her directly. I think if we have no further questions, Brittany, thank you so much. This was really enlightening. Really enjoyed the session. I learned a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just a reminder for everybody, if you haven't downloaded our SME community app, please do that. You'll find it on all the Play stores. It's free. It's free to download, and it's an opportunity for you. It's a platform that we've specifically developed for you to connect with other small businesses, where we share business tools and help, and also where you can advertise your business for free. So please go and download that. It's called the SME Community app. Just put that in the chats so you can go and have a look at that. But that's us then. Thank you so much, Brittany. Thank you very much. Very much, everybody. Have a fantastic and a blessed day.
Thank you so much.
Come on.